Hi friends, Sharon from Mad Paper Crush here. Welcome back to my channel. Do you guys have a ton of scraps from paper that you've cut down? So for papers that you're cutting to put in your journals, or papers that you use for collage and you just cut pieces out of, or pieces that you've stamped on and didn't turn out the way you wanted, or whatever. Do you have all those scraps? Well, I wanted to try and use some of them today because I do keep them, because I mean, look at all this beautiful dyeing, and I love these different pages and the way that they look, but I wanted to use them up. So what I'd like to do today is just go through making some pages that you can use either for a base for tags or note cards or things like that. Or what I'm going to do is I'm going to be using this as the back of tags and note cards. So it's going to be a place for someone to journal. So because I want it to be relatively plain, I'm going to be using mostly plain papers and also pretty lightweight papers, since I'm going to be decoupaging onto another piece of paper. But you could certainly do this with leftover, book pages, with patterned scrapbook pages. You can see I probably keep too much. That's just how I am. But right now I'm just going to do it with my blank or my lined papers that I have left over from, cutting things down and using them for other things. So I hope that you'll join me as we use up some of our scraps and create some nice backgrounds or bases for some ephemera to go in your journals. Okay, so what do we need? We need a piece of paper that you don't, care too much about, or, you could do it on the back or whatever. But I'm going to be probably using this to put on the back side of note cards and tags and things like that. So I tried to pick a pattern that was relatively light, so that if any of these are thin enough, which I'm not sure any of them are, but if they were thin pieces of paper, I wouldn't have to worry about the pattern coming through. But you could certainly pick one with a pattern that you like if you have some and you don't mind it coming through. So either way. And then I also have some of this painter's paper. So this came on a roll like this. It's a big giant roll that painters use to, cover things up. And I might use some of this. I might tear some of this and use some of this around as well. And then all of your bits. So, pieces of paper that you've cut off, you've cut down when you were making your journals. These are ends of things that I've cut off as I was making journals. Some of these have some words on them. I think some of these I had done some stamping on them, but it didn't turn out the way I wanted to. And I don't know where it is now. I saw it when I pulled it out, but that I, didn't want to throw away because of the beautiful stains and things on it from when I dyed the paper. So I'm just gathering all these up together, and we're going to get them onto the page. So I am probably going to use my glue stick here to get started. Actually, I think it might even be better. I may try my decoupage glue. Let's try that instead. I'm going to use my decoupage glue to put everything down, so I can, work a little bit with my paintbrush, and then, we can move along to the next section. So I'll put some glue down, and I will put some paper on, and we'll just try and fill this entire page with my scraps. And I am not going to worry too much about pattern. I think it looks pretty cool when it's random. So that's what I'm going to do. Okay, after I decoupaged everything down, I let it dry really well, actually overnight. And you can see I did 2 here. And what I might do, there was a couple places where I missed some with the glue. So I'm just going to go through and check both pieces to make sure there's no ends or anything sticking up. And if there is, I'm just going to use a little bit of glue and make sure everything's glued down really well before I use them. Okay, so you could use these just as they are. You could, put collage note cards that you have ready to go and make this the backing for it, for the journaling part of your tags or note cards or things like that. Or you could even cut these up to be tags and note cards and, do some things on top of this. So you could collage on top of this or, add fabric, ribbon, anything you'd want on top of here to make this the front of your, journal card or note card or whatever. But I'm going to use them as the back. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add just a little bit of stenciling and then also some gesso to just kind of lighten everything up and to make a more cohesive look between everything. So what I've done for that is I just grabbed a background stencil. You can see I don't clean my stencils, but I love the way they kind of get thick and stuff. I don't know, I love them. So what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to use, let's see, I'm not sure, you know what, I think I'm going to try, first of all, the gathered twigs. So I'm just going to, and I'm not going to stencil over the entire thing. I'm just going to stencil around here and there on the page, just like I said, to kind of bring everything together. And I'm just going to kind of dab around here. And like I said, I'm not going to do the whole thing, but I'm going to lift that up, and I like the way that looks. So I'm going to find some spots where all of the page, pieces that I've put down come together. And we'll just add a little bit of color in there. And I'm just going to do that around the whole thing in different areas of my piece. Okay, so the stenciling, I think, sort of gives the whole piece a more cohesive look. And then what I'm going to do, just to knock down the texture even more, since I want to use this for sort of journaling spaces, is I'm going to bring in some gesso. So I'm just going to use a tiny little bit, kind of on a pretty dry brush to do it. So I'm just, whoops, knocking stuff over. And I'm just going to take a little bit of gesso, and actually I may just pour it right on this brush here. We'll start with a little bit, and I'm going to just use my paint tray just to spread it around on the brush, and then also to kind of dry it up. So I don't want to be putting on a whole lot. So then I'm just going to brush over the top of the entire piece here, adding more or less, taking some, putting some on, taking some off. And I really think I don't even have enough right now. So I'm going to use a little bit more. Let's see how this goes. Yes, this was more of what I was hoping to get. So I needed it a little bit wetter, but honestly, I'd rather go a little lighter in the beginning because I have a heavy hand and my luck, I'd put too much on at the first try. So starting light for me is better. And I really like the way this is turning out. So I'm just going to do the same thing. Add a little bit of more glue here, or not glue, this is gesso. Sorry. And just make sure it's all over my brush, and then just kind of make sure it's not too wet. And I'm just going in sort of one direction, so I'm keeping all my strokes the same way, but you could certainly, you don't have to do that. And you can see how it's allowing the texture to come through and the pattern to come through, but it's also whitening it up a little bit. So this will be an easy place to, oops, and now I'm just going the other direction. Look at that. I didn't even see that I was doing that. But honestly, it's not showing that much, so that's good. So I was trying to go in one direction. Sometimes that doesn't even work. So let me just get the edges here. And I think this is coming together perfectly. And like I said, if you start light, then you can go back and add more if you feel like, you know, certain places need it. So, I mean, definitely over here, I didn't get the edges so good. So I'm just going to try to get them a little bit more by sort of going off the edge of the page. I'll have to clean my mat up. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side here. And now I'm really trying to make sure I'm using my brushes in the same direction. Of course, as soon as I say that, I do something different with my brush. And so that, I think, looks pretty good. So now you can see there's a lot of texture, there's different colors, there's some pattern in there. But when I put this on the back of a note card or a journal card or a tag, it's still going to allow a pen to write on top and look really nice with that. So I'm going to go ahead and do the other one, and then we will finish this up. And before I do the other one, I just wanted to kind of show you the contrast. So you can see what a big difference the gesso makes in terms of the brightness of the, you know, the background there. So, I mean, this was it with just paper on it and the stencils. And then when we added the gesso, it still allows so much color to come through, but it'd be tough to write on this and, you know, sort of be able to see everything that you're writing. So I love adding the gesso to really give you a nice look like that. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do this one real quick too. Okay, this is all nice and dry, and I have a couple of digitals here that I'm going to use. So all I'm going to do to use this is I'm just going to, because I'm probably going to sew these, and you can see I accidentally printed, well, I printed on both sides, so I'm just going to put a little bit of glue down on the one side, and I've flipped our scrap paper over. And I'm just going to line this one up with the edge because I'm going to sew around it. So I don't want to have to do too much cutting. And I'm going to do the same with this one. And since this is nice and sturdy now that we've decoupaged and put all kinds of layers on it, I don't need to back these with anything. So if you've seen my videos where I talk about using digitals, in prepping your digitals, you know, usually I put some book page on the back of that to give them a little bit of weight, but this paper is very sturdy. There's no reason I need to do that. So once I have that done, then I'm going to carefully cut them out, just like I would if I was backing them with book paper or something like that. And this one, when it printed, well, when I first cut it out, I did not do a good job of cutting it down. So there's some white edges on this note card. So I'm just trying to get them off as I go here. And I think that looks pretty good. Actually, this needs a little trim down here, I think. And then I will also cut out the tag. Okay. There are my tag and my note card. I'm going to go give these a sew and I'll be right back. Okay, friends, here's some of the final pieces. So I went and I added some stitching around each of these, just a quick zigzag stitch, and I added a hole with some sari ribbon up here at the top on this one. But you can see how after I cut them off, this makes a perfect journaling spot right there on that tag. And you can see on this one too. And even those dark pieces with the gesso really lightens it up. So I already wrote something on this one. The world always seems brighter when you've just made something that wasn't there before. So that's definitely inspiring me to make a whole bunch more of these to use for whenever I need them. So I hope this was helpful for you. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you aren't already. And if you hit the bell, you can be notified anytime I have a new video out. Thanks for arting with me today, guys. I hope you have a great weekend and a great week, and I will see you in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.